Hi there. Before we get started with the workout today, we are going to talk about feet, but as I get to that place, I'm going to pause it right here for just a second as I get the camera situated so that you can actually see my feet. Okay, so back again. Now, what I've tried to do here is I like to have my socks on and work out in my socks, but I took one off so that you can see what I'm talking about. As we get down here, I get the camera closer. I want you to see this and think about this wide part of the foot, and you can even rub it like I'm doing my little bit. You should always pamper your feet, by the way. They do a lot for you. And a lot of people will have this happen in their foot. It's called the flat foot, which happens with mine actually. And I want to have that not happen. So I'm going to take this ball of the foot and I'm going to not have my, if you see, look what's happening to my toes if I don't have weight in those feet. So like my feet aren't back there. Now watch what happens when I shift my weight forward. It automatically spreads things out. So my toes are a little bit wider and they're finding their space. There's still a lot of rehabilitation that needs to happen in my feet, just like most of us who wear shoes, particularly when we wore the tight little dress shoes when we were little kids. And then you also have this arch. So we're not wanting the arch to come all the way up, right? We're wanting it just to be lifted so that the ankle happens. So looky here. So watch what happens with my foot. So if I let everything go and the weight's in the heel, my ankle ends up collapsing a little bit. If I shift my weight forward onto that, it automatically will engage the arch a little bit from right there, and it will straighten this the ankle up, and that's what you want to have while you're working. Okay, so that's what we're trying to do with our feet. I want you to think about that as you do it, and let's get started. On our back. Always taking a moment to notice. Bring yourself in to your body, preparing yourself for your work. Feel the weight of the head, shoulders, back, hips, and feet. And again, a bit of our focus today has been on the feet, so we're going to really feel our feet right now. We're not putting pressure on the feet. We're just going to notice how they feel. And we're going to go into our contract release series. We're going to engage that pelvic floor, curl through the hips, press the lower back into the mat, and release and arch. And contract and press. Release and arch. Contract and press. Relax the shoulder, neck, and jaw. Really let that go through. Let that head rock. If you're anything like me during this social distancing and stress that we've been going through, I have been starting to get lockjaw up in here. So I'm really going to focus today on relaxing my jaw. And arch and contract. And release. Remember, the legs are not working. They're just holding themselves up. And notice how that pelvic floor works the hips so we can control our hip alignment with our pelvic floor. And contract. Release. And contract. And release. And find yourself that neutral spine. We're going to go up and notice our ribs. We're going to bring those in, draw them together. And again, we're wrapping that corset around the spine, really strong belly, kind of like, I like to kind of pretend it's a drum and your belly will naturally want to contract. That's what it does when it's being attacked. Let those shoulders drop into the floor. Draw those ribs together. Find that isometric hold. From here, we're going to pick up the right foot and then switch. Now, as we do this and switch, we do not want our hips to move. Really use that pelvic floor. We're holding those hips in alignment. We're wrapping that corset around the spine and knit those ribs together. Lengthen through the neck. Let it release. Let the shoulders release. They're not working. This is all about this contralateral contraction in the pelvic floor and the isometric hold of our core. Keep switching and go. And again, we have 2 more sets. And 1. And last set. This time leave that left leg up and go ahead and bring the right. We're going to take our arms out to the side just for a little bit of support. We're going to keep those ribs together, keep that corset nice and strong. We're going to leave the ribs and the shoulders on the mat. We're going to lift the right hip just slightly, taking the legs to the left side. Now bring it back to center, and then take it to the other side. And back to center, and side, and center, and side. We have that nice strong hold in the core, and we're going to rock those hips side to side. You should feel, if you don't today, you will eventually. You should feel a feeling of one side contracting to hold, and then it'll go to the other side. So there's a lot of stuff happening in the pelvic floor and those lower abdominals right now, and a little bit up into your obliques. Relax the shoulders. I get myself every single time. I have strong shoulders and they like to take over the work. And relax that neck and jaw. Activating the core. This is helping prepare ourselves for our work. And one more set. And bring it back to the center. From here, we're going to take the arms up. We're going to take the arms toward the floor a little bit as we look between our legs, and bring it back down. And 2. And 3. And 4. Keep going. We have 2 more. And bring those knees in. Whew. I don't know about you, but I was getting pretty hot. Remember, the stronger you get, a little bit harder that will get, because your muscles get stronger and stronger and they heat faster and can have more of a contraction. We're going to come up to standing. And continue with that contract release that we began with on the mat. We're going to do it in the standing position. So we're going to sweep our arms back behind us. We're going to bend into the knees. We're going to pull the center of the back behind us. As we curl that hips, just like we did, we're going to take it up and overhead. Now release through those ribs. It should feel pretty good with all that work we just did. And come through. And up. And think about the center of your shoulder blades pulling back behind you. So we call this a contraction and a release, or standing cat-cow for those of you who are yoga enthusiasts. Two more. Last one. And up. From here, we're going to reach out. Actually, you do not have to do this, but grab your weights if you would like a little extra work today. All right, so we're in that rotated, turned out position. The weights and the balls of the feet. And remember how I showed you earlier, we really want to engage in that floor. Engage in those feet and make sure that the weight's a little bit more forward. You'll feel your legs change as soon as you shift the weight. We're going to lift up those kneecaps. We're going to take those glutes and reach them toward each other. Thinking about the glutes being what is rotating the femur bone, that's going to support your turnout. Because we're trying to keep this released up in here. We don't want this to be what's trying to turn out our legs. Remember, don't lock into the hips. From here, we're going to take our arms out to the side. Rotate your left palm up, whether you have a weight or not. We're going to reach up and over as we expand through the rib cage and bring it back to center. Now draw those ribs in. Remember, we're always, unless I tell you otherwise, have those ribs knitted together. We're engaging in that pelvic floor. Our hips should just be moving straight up and down without any tilt happening. Reach that neck long out of the spine. 2 more sets, that is. And the last set. And pause. I want you to take a moment to notice, are your kneecaps still lifted? Are your glutes still engaged? If they aren't, it means you release them. That's okay, it happens. Eventually you get there, but ideally your legs were contracted the whole time we were doing that. All right, we're gonna bring ourselves into that turned out rotated position. Weights a little in the balls of the feet. We're gonna open those knees over the toes. And one of the tricks that we use to make sure we're not overly turned out in our feet is look down. You should be able to see your big toes. If you can't see your big toes, your feet are too far back and your knees are too far in. So bring your feet in a little bit. Make sure you open up those knees as much as they can go. Check in with your pelvic floor. You should already start burning a little bit in those legs. Finding that contraction, find that engagement of the glutes. Wrap the corset, knit the ribs, shoulders down the back. We're going to go through the port-de-bras series. We're going to come through center, take it over the head, open, and take it to the close. Now all this is happening a little bit in the front of me, so I don't go all the way over my head, and then I'm going to open to the side, but it's not directly side, it's a little in the front. It's going to engage your shoulder rotator muscles a little bit differently. You can grip the weights. I have a habit of not doing that, but your hands are whatever you want. And one more in this direction. And now we're going to go the other way. Take it to the side first, and up, and through center. Keep the shoulder blades down the back. Keep those ribs knitted together. We have a strong supporting body. So a lot of our training is having a strong support for whatever's moving. That's where that strength comes from. And bring it in and bring those legs up. And shake it out a little bit. We're going to place the weights to the side. And you're going to need to grab your chair if you want. You actually can do this without a chair, but if you want a little extra support, you can of course put it in front of you and use both hands. I want you to see what's happening for me. So I am in a parallel position. I want a first parallel, which is roughly that fist width apart. So we're going to check in on that. Again, weight's a little in the balls of the feet. We're lifting up those kneecaps. We have a little engagement in our glutes, not as much as turned out, but we still do. Pelvic floor is engaged with that corset. Knit the ribs, shoulders are down the back. We're going to take the ball and place it between the legs. Now you don't want this too wide. So if your ball is a little bit wider, you can have your feet a little bit wider. That's okay. You just don't want too far out, and you don't necessarily want too far in. We're trying to keep our joints lined up, essentially, is what you want. You can err one way or the other. I actually have my balls a little bit on the flat side, which is okay. Sometimes I like that. All right, so we're engaged into that ball. Wrap that corset, knit the ribs, shoulders are down the back. We have our hands on the chair or not. If you want, you can put your hands here. You can also hold your hands out to the side. You'll get a lot more. You can even hold weights if you want to. And here we go. We're going to bend. From here, we have that contraction in the legs. We're checking that pelvic floor and pulse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold on, 8. From here, we're going to press up onto the toes. Check in, feel the pinky toe and the big toe, particularly the knuckle area. We're going to pulse here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Again. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now hold here. We're going to straighten through the backs of those knees. We're going to think about ourselves growing. You can be a rocket ship headed toward the moon. Knit those ribs together. Engage that corset. We're going to either take our hand just off the, if you really need to keep checking in, you can go up. Or you can bring your hands to heart. Or for a little bit more, take it up to the ceiling. We call this up on O. By the way, carpet is not easy to balance on, so if you're on a carpeted space, it's a little bit more challenging. Keep holding. Shoulder blades down, knit those ribs together, wrap that corset, use those glutes, and plie through and straight. All right, we're gonna rotate out to the side. You can hang on to the ball if you want to. We are gonna use it again. If not, you can just set it to the side. Whatever works for you. From here, we're gonna open those knees over the toes. Check in, make sure your knees are as wide as your toes are. If you need to bring those feet in, bring the feet in. Check in with your glutes. They're engaged. The glutes, or that gluteus minimus, is what's actually carrying that rotation in the femur bone. Wrap that corset, engage that pelvic floor, knit those ribs together, and bring the shoulders down your back. And we're gonna pulse here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. From here, we're gonna rise onto our toes. And again, pulse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. From here, straighten those legs, really reach long up through, be a rocket ship. Engage those glutes, lift those kneecaps, wrap that corset, engage that pelvic floor, knit those ribs together, and you can either lift just off if you need to. You can bring your hands to the heart center if you would like, or you can take it up on O. Whatever challenge you want. You can also take it out to the side. You can wiggle your arms, whatever you want. Ooh. I got to play a little too much. And open. And all right, shake that out. We're gonna go through that one more time. This time you are gonna wanna be able to reach your ball. I'm gonna prefer not to lean over to get it, so I'm gonna hang on to it in my hand. If you're holding onto the chair, just hold it like this. All right, so we are gonna start in the turnout again. We're lifting, engage. Y'all have heard it before. Open those knees. We're gonna go ahead and rise up on the toes. Bring those toes closer together. Now the heels should be touching by now. Press the heels into each other. You should feel firing happening a little bit more up those inner thighs. And from here, pulse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. From here, we're going to turn in that parallel position. You might need to adjust your feet, so we're going to put the ball back where it was. So we're in the beginning position, back into that parallel for one more set there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Lower and take it up. All right, take that. The ball, actually you're gonna need the ball on the floor. I'm gonna get the chair out of the way. So we're gonna come back onto our backs for a little bit more core work to give our legs, well, your legs aren't gonna break, who are we kidding? But to get more into some deep core. All right, from here, you have your ball. You do not have to use your ball. And actually this is one, if you have a bigger ball, you could use that as well if you ever repeat this video. All right, again, we're gonna be working throughout this. I'm not gonna talk about as much of knitting those ribs and having that corset wrapped, right? But we're also gonna work from the hollow body position. So the hollow body is where you take what we did at the beginning of class. You're gonna press your lower back into the mat, right? So that's that hollow body. The pelvic floor is engaged and contracted, and we have our corsets nice and strong, and those ribs are knitted together. So we're not flared while we're doing this, and we're not released here, and we're not engaged in our core without being engaged in our pelvic floor. And we are letting that tilt of the hips happen. So we're going to take our legs directly up to the ceiling. I want you to press through the backs of the knees and point through the toes. You should automatically feel a lot of work start happening here. It's like somebody is pulling your toes away from you so they are fully engaged. Rotate to the turned out position. Press those legs into each other. Now you can stay here if you would like a little bit more work. Open those legs, press that ball between the thighs. Get it in there really nice and good, and then squeeze those legs together. Now you can stay here, pressing through the backs of the knees, or now you can bring those heels together so the knees are a little bit bent, and then press those legs into each other. So the heels are pressing, inner thighs are pressing. You should be getting a lot of shake happening right now. All right. Lengthen through the neck this whole time as you press that lower back into the mat, knit the ribs together, lift the shoulders off the floor. You can lace your fingers behind your head. If you want more work, you can take it down to your side. You can take it up and over your head. I'm going to lace. Lengthen through the head and let the head rest in the hands so we're not pulling here. And we're going to lower. Take it up. And 2. Keep the lower back pressed into the mat the whole time. Only go so low as you can go. You can take it to here. That's just fine. You can take it to here. Or take it all the way down. We have 2 more. And last one. And bring it in and rest. Pull those knees in. All right, just grab that ball one more time. We're just going to use the ball to kind of give ourselves an idea of where our legs need to be, and then place it aside. So you don't want your knees too wide, and you don't want your knees too close together, but we're actually not going to use the ball now. But that's the space that I would like to have. Sometimes I like to give myself something to look at. Your feet are wherever your knees are going to feel comfortable. You don't want them too far away. You don't necessarily want them too close up into your hips. You want them, ideally, your heel is directly below your knees, but that's going to depend on the length of your bones in relation to your weight. All right. So from here, take a deep breath in and exhale. Draw those ribs in. We're going to contract and press the lower back into the mat. From here, peel up off of the mat. Lengthen through the neck. We're going to get those hips up into that. We are actually still tilting here. Engage that pelvic floor. Knit those ribs together. We're going to release our right foot off the floor. Don't move the thigh or the femur bone. We're going to stretch it nice and long. Point through the toes. Rotate, turn out. Rotate back to parallel and bring it in. Switch to the other side. Out. Rotate out. Parallel and in. And 2. Bring it in. And left, and right, and left, and right. And bring it in, that was that. From here, keep those necks nice and long. We're going to try to glue each vertebrae back on the mat. Curl through those hips. Find one vertebra at a time. And release. Windshield wiper your knees from side to side. Do a little wiggle around. That was a lot of work for those lower back muscles. Bring the knees to your chest as you bring yourself up to standing. So we're going to put the ball to the side, and we're going to grab the weights. Again, you don't have to use weights. You can actually do this without weights. Whether you have weights or not, we're going to be working isometrically in the arms. So you want to think about pressing through the eye of the elbow and contracting those muscles as we move them. So if you don't have weights, you can keep the hands long and start to find a way to find that shake. Okay? If you have weights, you can hold on the weights but do the same thing. We're going to bring our legs into a closed parallel position. Really squeeze those inner thighs together. Engage that pelvic floor so we think about those hips are in the alignment that they need to be in. Wrap the corset, knit the ribs, and the shoulders are down the back. Think about yourself lengthening long through the spine. We're going to take our arms up above our hips and they're straight. From here, find yourself in the yoga chair pose. Bending through those knees. We call this a closed first plie in dance, but we're going to go ahead and take that extra step with the chair pose. Pulse the arms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we're going to keep the upper arms in place, the humerus bone, if you will. Curl and press away. And curl the works in the press. Really push it away. And 3. And 4. And 5. Don't forget to keep that contraction the whole time. 6. 7. Last one. 8. Bring it up, rotate to the turned out position. Bend those arms, wrap that corset, knit the ribs, shoulders are down the back. We're gonna keep this shape of our arms the whole time, okay? We're gonna lift our elbows directly side. So do you see my wrists are following my elbows? And we're gonna plie while we do it. Engage those glutes, lift those kneecaps, pelvic floor is there as we go to the side. 1, and up, and 2, and 3, and 4. Feel the weight in the ball of the foot like we talked about in the beginning. Really engage. Feel how that lifts the arch. And last one. 8. And bring it in. Open up. Weights in the balls of the feet. Lift those kneecaps. Now again, remember, we're not all the way in the balls. You really have, it's that idea of finding just enough press into the balls of the feet that it engages your arches and your ankles. Lift the kneecaps. Bring those glutes toward each other. Engage the pelvic floor. We're going to take our arms up into a goalpost arm is what I call it, but it's shoulder press. Shoulders are down the back. Find that nice 90 degrees. We're not going to drop below our shoulders. So we keep our elbows above the shoulders the whole time as we press up. 1 and 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, last one, and 8. Take that down and take it to the side. We're going to come into our last exercise. So this is a combo where we're working flexibility and strength at the same time. So we're in our easy parallel position. If you want to, this one can actually be done with the ball between the thighs. Don't put it directly on the joint. You don't want to have pressure there, but you can come up into your thighs or you can actually come into that little place. But this is an option as we move up and down. So you can do that, or you can have it to the side, or if you don't have a ball, this is how you would do it without. A lot of times this one is done without. So I want you to focus on those feet again. We're gonna really make sure that one of our ankles, our knuckles, is not above the other one, okay? That twist in your ankle and you don't want it to happen. So when we press through, we have the ball of the foot here is as if it's flat on the floor, not with one side or the other. We call that sickling of the feet, okay? Press through those heels, lengthen through the back of the knees, or think about even trying to press the knees into the back of the floor. Long spine, so we're lifted up. You don't want to be here. You actually want to be long and up. Wrap that corset into those ribs, shoulders are down the back. You have an option. You can hold your arms here, or you can hold your arms here. If you want it to be a little easier, just hold them here. If you need to support yourself, hold yourself there. We're going to take plie, bring our knees up, and then press it away. And press through the toes, point through the feet, pull, almost forgot, the lengthen through the spine, fold just enough not to lose that straight spine. Come back up, pull the toes, press through those heels, bend, and press away, and lengthen away. And come back, and bend, and press, lengthen away, and bend, and press, and lengthen away. We're going to do it one more time. This time we're going to bend through, press through, don't go to the pointed foot. This time we're going to reach all the way. Keep going as long as you can. Long spines, long spines. Come over and find yourself over those legs. Keep the legs engaged. I still want the heels pressing away and the backs of the knees pressing into the floor. And release and come up. Rotate to the turned out position. And from here, now you definitely will have your ball away from you. All right. So again, your arms can be here, or they can be here, or they can be here, or they can be here, whatever feels good for you. So press through those backs of the knee, press the heels away. Again, watch the feet. You're gonna see it more this time if, as you point through, if your toes are close to each other, you're sickling in the feet. Your feet should have that nice open, like the toes should be away, okay? Press through the heels, and we're gonna plie through those legs. Long spines, don't sit down. And press, 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 press. And push. Lengthen. And come up. And press. Folding those hips forward, not curling the spine. And press. And bend. And forward. We have one more. You probably can guess what we're about to do. Press away. Press those heels away. Don't point through the feet. Fold forward, fold forward, fold forward, and fold. Grab the insides of those ankles. Keep those heels pressed away from you. Keep the knees pressed toward the back of the floor. And bring yourself up. Open your legs into what we call second position. Make any adjustments you need. And we're gonna make sure that your knees are not falling in. We actually want to have, it'll feel a little turned out in your hips, but the knees are up directly toward the ceiling, essentially. And again, you can start here, you can be here, you can be here, or for this one, let's take our hands out to the side, and we're gonna hold our arms here. Press through the heels, press through the backs of the knees. We're gonna find our plie first. And then press, push through those feet. Long spines as we come forward. And up. Press it away. Notice I'm not curling in that lower back, so if you can only move an inch, if this is all you can do, that's all you're going to want to do. If you can go, some of you might be able to go to the floor. I am not actually very flexible in this particular area. And press it away. And here's our last one. This time, press those heels away, keep the feet back, and we're going to bring ourselves over. Really let yourself relax on this one. Press, except for your legs. Your legs are not relaxed. Press in the backs of the knees. Press those heels away from you. And before we come up, we're going to take our upper body toward that left leg. You can reach, your right leg or your left, either one. I don't care. And reach the opposite arm around the ankle. And switch to the other side. Bring it back to center. And we're gonna come up. We're gonna do just a couple other stretches to get our body where we want it to be. Come up onto your mat. Find your tabletop. You're gonna come into a low lunge. You can do whatever kind of low lunge you would like to do. And release that back. We're going to go to the other side. This is more about this back, quad, and the hip than it is the front. We've just done a lot of hamstring stretching. It's pretty good there. Bring yourself back into tabletop. Tuck your toes. We're going to press up entire down dog. We're going to bring ourselves forward. Hang out. I'm going to face toward you. You can stay to the side if you want. We're going to bend those knees. We're going to take our hips toward the floor first, which is going to bring up each vertebrae one at a time. Keep the shoulders dropped, keep the head dropped. Now straighten those legs as you come full standing. We're going to finish our practice up. And the third breath, we're going to come up. Touch those palms to the top, bring it down to your center. Thank you so much for joining me today. Have a great rest of whatever it is for you, and we'll see you next time.